Well, I just got back from seeing Jurassic World Rebirth, and I think we owe each other an apology. I was absolutely right to criticise the film based on the trailer, and some of you were right to call me out in being a bit too harsh here and there. For a bit of visual stimulus, I'm just going to keep the trailer repeating in the background while I'm giving you my rundown of this, and we're also going to take a look at the comments that were left on the trailer and see where you guys, the die-hard fans who came hard at me for daring to say that this film isn't going to be a 10 out of 10. And let's just see how right you were with your high praise before the film was even out. And was I right about being critical when the film was not even out? But before we get into the comments, my overall thoughts of the film. It's complicated. We're dealing with a 6 out of 10 film here that could have easily been a 9 out of 10 or an 8 out of 10 maybe. The problem was there was a ton of things going on. There was there were so many characters, but there was not enough dwelling on those characters to really flesh them out. By the way, I'm going to spoil this. I doubt you care. Not many people actually care about this franchise at this point. So if you notice that the views are low, type "put the fries in the bag" down below. Because Lord knows I'm going to make about 2 pennies on this video. But for those of you who do care, allow me to carry on and elaborate what I mean by my 6 out of 10 with potential to be more than that. This is a good place to start, as we can see in the trailer. My God, the opening scene of the genetics lab. I was pretty hopeful. Aesthetically speaking, it looked pretty good. Some of the acting was okay, and I was ready to be invested in the operation of the genetics lab and the inevitable fallout when it goes horribly wrong. Now, I was prepared to maybe wait half an hour or so for that build-up, and that's important, I feel, when you have the inciting incident, to have some reasonable build-up, some good tension built there. The incident is brought on, and I'm not kidding here, by a Snickers wrapper. Obvious product placement there, which is bad enough in itself, but a Snickers wrapper gets caught in the vent of the doors, the big blast doors keeping the D-Rex from escaping, and a single Snickers wrapper is the thing that brought down their operation. It sounds goofy, and that's not me exaggerating. That is the precise reason why this big facility on this island failed. A single wrapper. It blows you. It really boggles the mind as to how they could overlook that part of the story and not think, maybe we should take this a bit more seriously. Maybe we should make it not a Snickers wrapper that brings down an entire genetics lab. It's funny, and I suppose these things do happen in real life. A small thing can make a big difference, a big impact. But in terms of the cinematic experience, it's very goofy. It's extremely goofy. And me and my friend looked at each other, and we shook our heads and thought, oh no, what have we signed up for here? But having said that, I will say that the opening, so that incident that we saw with the Snickers wrapper, that was actually the kind of the intro to the film before the title sequence, before the title card appeared. At that point, I was very much dreading what was coming. But then, to the movie's credit, actually, the sequence going to the island, where Scarlett Johansson's character and the other characters on board, they come across a stranded family, and the scenes of the family getting stranded by the Mosasaur, that was actually quite intense. I was really feeling it. I was actually kind of scared at one point. I was thinking, oh, do you know what? Like, they're clearly taking some inspiration from maybe Jaws. Not too much inspiration. It's not that good. But they're clearly Gareth Edwards, the director, clearly knows what he's doing here. I was on board, no pun intended, but I was on board. Yeah, I was actually quite enjoying the film at that point. The problem starts as soon as they land on the island, in my opinion. That's when things go downhill quite dramatically. Because this is going to sound weird, but I almost felt that there was too many dinosaurs in this film. I know, which sounds bizarre because obviously the more dinosaurs, the better, right? But there were certain dinosaurs that I was kind of sick of seeing. And I felt like they crammed in too many. I don't know. It's just like my experience with 28 Years Later. I'm going to need this film to come out so I can really evaluate my feelings on this. So maybe that's slightly nitpicky. I won't be too assertive in my opinion on the presence of dinosaurs. What I will be assertive on, however, is my disappointment that there is a distinct lack of animatronics in this film. Unless I'm wrong on this, I'm fairly certain I'm not. But there were no animatronics to be seen. All of the dinosaurs were CGI. No, any of you, for those of you who saw my trailer reaction video before I deleted it, you would have seen that I was quite critical of the CGI. I thought the CGI for the dinosaurs during the day, it looked kind of iffy. I wasn't too happy about it. Excuse me. Yeah, I wasn't feeling the CGI on those. I wasn't feeling the CGI on those dinosaurs very much. I think part of the problem is, I'm fairly certain on this. Let me quickly check. Yeah, okay. So you can see here, the quality only goes up to 1080p HD. Now, in my opinion, for a film that is all about that is so reliant on the CGI being something that drives the fear of the monsters / dinosaurs, if you're going to advertise that film, you need to have 4K. I know most people aren't working with 4K on their computers and phones, so maybe 4K could be lost, but if you're a so-called movie critic like myself, and you're assessing the value proposition of a film, not having 4K, it doesn't work in this film's favour. I'm not gonna, it's not gonna encourage me to advertise the film and say, "Oh, this looks fantastic. Go see it, guys." If you're gonna give me 1080p, you're not working with the best quality here, and I'm fairly certain that the film is released in 4K, right? Most films are now. So to only have the trailer in 1080p, yeah, a bit of a wasted marketing opportunity there. But anyway, yeah. So in terms of owing each other an apology, I feel like I am sorry for saying that. This scene that we're seeing right here with the Mosasaur, for example, I said it looks a bit too. I believe I used the phrase of saying that it looks a bit like a theme park ride. It doesn't look very dramatic. But like I said earlier, the scene of them going to the island overseas with the Mosasaur and there were Spinosaurs as well, I was enjoying that. I actually felt the tension. I didn't think the CGI was amazing, but I can look past it, I suppose. But yeah, for the most part, it was doing its job. I was having a good time. Now, I really wish I hadn't deleted my trailer reaction video, but the only reason I did is because I was getting quite a few dislikes. Now, that makes me sound super sensitive, I know. It wasn't about the dislikes. It was about the reason the video was being disliked. And it was because of the amount of Jurassic Park / Jurassic World fans out there who will defend the franchise to the death, which has always frustrated me, because I think if you love something enough, you should be wanting perfection. You should be wanting it to be better where it can be better, because you're here for the franchise. You're here to support it, and in exchange for your money, you should be rewarded with a good time, the best time possible. So if you're not willing to push back and say when something looks bad, or be willing to accept the idea that not everyone thinks it's good, based on first impressions, be open to criticism about the thing you love, I think is the thing I'm trying to say here. So yeah, I wish I kept the comments from my previous video to sort of say, hey, look, I was right about this. Come on. The D-Rex, the modified dinosaur, it was crap. It really was. It was not intimidating in the slightest. It looked like... It didn't... It was like a goofy version of the It was like a really goofy version of the Rancor from Star Wars. It had... And even the Rancor in Star Wars, it was at least intimidating. This just, to me, was just nothing. It really didn't impact me in the slightest. The few scenes it was in, I felt nothing. It just... I don't know if it was the way it was shot, or because maybe the issue is that we knew nothing about the D-Rex, really. We didn't get any sort of background on it. What is it mutated with? And you know what? To the credit of the previous films, not Dominion, God no, not Dominion. To the credit of Fallen Kingdom and Jurassic World, at least the mutant dinosaur in that, you had a fair understanding of its capabilities and what to expect, because you were flat out told what it was mutated with. As far as I can recall, the D-Rex, you wasn't given anything. It was just, here's a big, ugly mutant monster dinosaur. Deal with it. That to me, I've got nothing to go on. I don't know what this thing is. And if visually speaking, it's not that intimidating, because it's got such a goofy globe head. It's got like a really big bulbous head with like little beady little eyes and a mouth that I suppose looks scary, but it doesn't have... Look, Google a picture of the D-Rex right now and tell me it just doesn't look like a generic... It looks like a generic Monsterverse creature. It really has nothing special about it, in my opinion. So yeah, big fail on that part. And here we've got the comments from the official trailer for this film. And this isn't to put anyone on blast. Please don't go and comment mean things to these comments that we're seeing here. Everyone's entitled to their opinions and their excitement. So, if for whatever reason you felt like being horrible to these guys, please don't. I'm purely showing the comments here because I think it's important to be realistic with your expectations, and it's important to sort of realize when something's being glazed. When something's being glazed, it's like, is that reasonable, or are you just such a devoted fan that you're willing to just accept that you've already made your mind up in that it's perfect? Let's take this first comment here. That T-Rex swimming like a croc scene is a 10 out of 10. It really wasn't. It's a nothing scene. Nothing even happens in it, really. It's like, and the reason you can go in, the reason why you should have been a bit more hesitant with this comment is look at the scene itself and who's in it, right? You've got a family in a boat. Jurassic films are pussies. I love them, right? But they are 12As. They're not... If a family's in danger, that family isn't in danger, right? There's a little girl on board and a teenage girl and boyfriend, At most, the only thing that could possibly happen maybe is the dad will be eaten. But come on, it's a Jurassic film. You should have seen that and gone, yeah, they're in no danger. You know, and I don't. I responded to a comment about this a little while ago where someone said, yeah, but you know, the Jurassic Park book, it has that raft scene in it. So the fact that the film is paying homage to that means it's worthy of credit, and it's not. Just because you reference something from the source material doesn't mean that it's a good reference. You've got to make it mean something. And I'm telling you right now, that raft scene was kind of pointless. The T-Rex in this film is basically non-existent outside of that. And look, don't get me wrong, the T-Rex is so overplayed at this point. I'm kind of glad in a way. But if you're gonna make the pinnacle dinosaur, the most iconic dinosaur in this whole franchise, if you're going to give it a cameo or a brief appearance, make that brief appearance meaningful, make it impactful. But really, it had nothing to it. It really was a letdown. Even cinematically speaking, I wouldn't say it's a 10 out of 10. Far from it. You know, nothing, I suppose, visually wrong with it. It's just, it lacked a lot of excitement for me. It felt very safe. It didn't feel very raw. It felt very much like a computer game cutscene. It's not a 10 out of 10. I think like making a comment like that is like without giving a reason is kind of silly. Let's go on to the next glazing comment, shall we? Yeah, so that first scene was so brilliant. The actor did an amazing job at portraying the true amount of fear someone would have in that situation. Yeah, the acting was fine. There was no issue with the acting. But it is incredibly hard to take that scene seriously based on how the scene came about. Me and my friend were too busy laughing at the Snickers wrapper situation. We were just too busy shaking our heads with our we were like this. We were like, oh my god, this is, how can you do this? How can you make such a stupid setup? So when that guy is basically going to be eaten by the D-Rex, and that's not a spoiler, that's in the trailer, I felt nothing really to it. So the acting, yeah, no issues there, but the film ruined itself by doing that. Again, another comment glazing the raft scene. Can't freaking wait. Well, I'm sorry to report to you, but I mean, maybe you had a different experience to me, but it really was underwhelming. See, this comment right here is quite telling, right? I don't care, good or bad, just keep making these. Jurassic Park is not just a movie franchise, it's my childhood. So many memories. I don't care about the wannabe critics in the comment section. I'm excited for this. Now, some bad news for you. I am a movie critic. I'm paid to do this. And, well, maybe I'm more paid to be a recapper, but I do consider myself to be a critic at the same time. Otherwise, my videos would have tons of dislikes on them from any opinion I share, but that's not the case. It's difficult because I'm kind of in the same boat in terms of like, I will probably go and see every single Jurassic film that comes out. And that's not because I am so tied into my childhood that, like, you know, this means so much to me. That the first Jurassic Park film means a lot to me. Yes, that is my childhood. But I am not someone who really cares about Jurassic Park anymore. I'm here because I'm fascinated by where they're taking it all. I'm gobsmacked and fascinated by the very fact that this franchise is continuing. Despite the fact that they're kind of running out of ideas and things are getting a bit stale, you know, I'll keep going because I'm fascinated by the prospect of these films, really. And trust me, I do want these films to be good. I really do. Because of my love of the first film, I'll go into this, when I sit down and the title begins and all that, I'm excited, kind of. But this kind of comment here, where it's like, oh, go and see it. Don't care about what critics have to say. Again, that harkens back to my previous point of saying you should be willing to have the thing you love be criticised. You should want it to be improved. Don't just blindly love things and say, oh, because it's Jurassic Park, oh, because it's dinosaurs, I just love it so much. Because trust me, everybody has their breaking point with this, right? It's like say you're this guy here, right? This Baloo ex-hockey player, right? Let's imagine that the year is 2055 and Jurassic Park 27 has just come out. And literally all it is a Jurassic Park logo, PNG overlaid onto a steaming pile of actual shit. And that's the movie for the entire 2-hour runtime, right? Do you think that they'll be coming to the trailer and still defending it, right? Everybody has their limits, and you should anticipate that one day, even as the most diehard fan, you're going to walk into it and think, this is kind of bad. You know, scrolling through these comments, it seems that a lot of the glazing seems to be for the same stuff, so not going to go on too much about these comments here. And I'll go back to giving my overall opinions on the movie. In terms of ranking, where do I place it against the other films? I would say that look, there is not... I put money on the fact that there will never be a worse Jurassic film than Dominion. Dominion was so bad that I was angry. I was really angry in the cinema. Jurassic World Rebirth, I would say, is a step up from that. So I would say it's the second worst film. But Jurassic World Dominion is so terrible that, there's no way that it wouldn't be... There's no replacing it. If Jurassic World Dominion wasn't around, this definitely would be the worst one so far. It's still a relatively good time for the most part. I would say that in terms of entertainment value, it's a 6 out of 10. It's a slightly above average. No, actually, no, it's not above average. That 6 out of 10 I mentioned earlier, I'm cutting that to a 5 because now I think about it, the outside of the entertainment value of these guys exploring the island and trying to find the DNA to extract, there really wasn't much to get from this film. It's kind of forgettable in a lot of ways. Part of the reason why I think it's so forgettable is because there's a lack of investment, you feel. I didn't feel invested in any character outside of maybe the science guy. He seemed like he had quite a good motivation for being here. Not motivation, actually. His motivation sucked in a way. But him being there and appreciating these dinosaurs, that was nice. He works in a museum, so he's never seen dinosaurs in their natural habitat. That was kind of sweet. Outside of that, the family characters, oh my god. The little girl, just get rid of her, get her out of the film. She was absolutely useless, served no purpose. And she wasn't even like a good character, really. Just average, just insert young girl into the film because we need a kid to be in danger at some point, I suppose. The teenage daughter, very frustrating. She just had that typical kind of like teenage bitch attitude throughout the whole film. It got very tiring. I don't know what else to say, really, other than like, it's a very average experience. But I will say that, I shouldn't have been too critical about certain elements like it turns out the thing I was most critical of turned out to be the more enjoyable part of the film. So the Mosasaur attack scene and the Spinosaur attack scene on the boat, that ended up being the most exciting part of the film for me. The rest of it was just bang average, really nothing special, nothing to write home about. So yeah, without the actual movie to refer to in media form and just memory, I'm gonna cut my analysis and opinion here by saying that it is a 5 out of 10 film, and rumours are to be true, this is going to be another trilogy that we're dealing with here. So you may not see me doing a recap of this film until we have news on the trilogy, or we have a trilogy to recap. You know me, no half measures. If I'm going to start something, I want all of it to be available so I can make a bigger recap. And just to end this video, for those of you who are watching this, and you're kind of taken aback by seeing me in this camera here, just here. If you join as a channel member here on YouTube, or if you sign up to my Patreon, I'm making these kind of unscripted videos from time to time. And so you get to hear my thoughts unfiltered, and more regularly. And also putting a face to a voice, which I don't know if that's a good thing or bad. I'm not exactly Henry Cavill over here. So yeah, if you're here watching this, thank you for being here. And there's more Dexter coming soon.